Hi John.
Hi.
Thanks for coming to see us. Now, what you do is you are legally qualified, but you work as a Mackenzie friend in court. What do you do when you go to court?
Well, because I'm a Mackenzie friend, because I didn't get a training contract, I can't practice as a solicitor, and I can't represent people. I don't have rights of audience as such. So I can do everything else more or less. From the outset of a case, I can assist people with their application. I can attend court with them and give them quiet advice in court, and I can talk to the other side. That can be helpful to a client because they're emotively involved with it, so I can sometimes get an agreement with the other side. I can have less emotionally charged discussions with the other side, and sometimes, negotiate an agreement on their behalf. So the range of activities involved with any typical Children Act matter, really, except the representational side.
So you're assisting someone at court,
yes.
and without sounding, I don't know how to put this, but you're probably helping people with not so much money, aren't you?
That's exactly right, because those with more funding are going to use a solicitor and or a direct access barrister, so that's exactly right. I'm also the chair of the South London branch of Families Need Fathers. So again, the typical attendee at any meeting will be someone who just hasn't got the funds to get legal advice.
And how many cases do you think you've done? How many children cases have you done, roughly?
Well, absolutely hundreds, over about 17 years.
17 years.
Yes,
and what did you do before you
Well, I was in central government. I spent most of my career at the Department of Trade and Industry. I had a spell in government legal services, about 4 years, on criminal prosecutions around insolvency acts and all sorts of fraud. But in the main, I was in trade-type negotiations. And
do you know how the family law cafe concept works?
Well, yes, because I've assisted you in a number of cases now, and it's a concept whereby it's a sort of one-stop shop, isn't it, really, where you can offer a range of services from a single source. So I think that's something that can work very well for the client, particularly in terms of managing their budget, and that can be where I come in, because if funds run low for them, I can be a cheaper alternative if they can't afford the representation.
Do you find that the family court forms, I think the government thinks that people should be able to do it all themselves, but do you find that the people that you work with can manage those forms?
It never ceases to amaze me how many come back, how many get returned. You might think the court staff could be a bit more helpful and just phoning applicants up and say, could you clarify something, but they just send them back all the time. So,
do you help people with those forms?
Yes, I will help people with them from time to time. I mean, there is a guidance document, but notwithstanding that, people are getting their forms returned. And I think it's in particular there are so many boxes to tick around the mediation issue and the exemptions that they fail to tick them or tick the wrong ones.
And I think there's a bit of a rumour that online divorces are actually a bit slower. Is that what you're finding?
I don't really deal with divorce much, but I've certainly heard that, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, because for one thing it's fairly new and not really off the ground, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And do you think that there's a lot of litigants in person now, aren't there? And when they go into court, do you think they can really manage on their own without any assistance at all?
No, I don't, because it's just too emotionally charged a process for them. They will not necessarily focus on the right things. They want to criticise the ex. They don't understand that the focus must be on the child. They're too wrapped up in their disagreement, and they need some objective, detached advice. I think it's really, really important. They don't have a sense of what the court need to know, what the court need to hear, and they'll just go on at length sometimes about what their ex has done and how the whole thing's got to where it is, without a focus on concrete proposals for the future that are practical and will work for the children.
Do you know about Family Law Cafe has a hosting side where just non-legal people are just there at the end of a phone? What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't know about that. Is it fairly new?
No, it's something we offer everybody. And what do you think about that?
Well, it depends on what you mean.
So if they're just a bit stressed out,
yes.
you know,
I
and
see.
just
So
not
sort
coping
of,
very well,
yes,
someone's
okay.
at the end of the phone.
Well, I'm sure that that's something that could benefit a lot of people because, you know, as I say, it is a very emotionally charged and draining experience for people going through this business. It really is. And
how have you found using the case space?
well, it's really good to be able to find all documentation in a single place. I think it's even better if people place multiple page documents as a single document, a single PDF document, rather than lots and lots of images. So I think sometimes
people snap on their phone.
Yes,
so
this
just
is
a bit
it.
of
And
education.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think it's just about educating people in the best way to
Yeah.
use it. But in principle, it's there and it's very, very useful if used properly.
Yeah. So, John, anything more you want to say about Family Law Cafe?
No, I mean, you know, I've handled a few cases with you now, as you know, and you know, I think it's been a good experience. I think it is a good experience when a client can go to a single source and start off in a particular way and adapt according to how their budget can change. So, you know, that's where I've come in on a few occasions because they felt they hadn't been able to afford representation after a while because cases have become protracted for whatever reason. Then there is the alternative of being accompanied to court and using me in my capacity as a Mackenzie friend. So I think, you know, that's where value is added really, that you can come in at all different levels.
And John, I know that Families Need Fathers as charity, and
Yes.
you do a lot of work there.
Yes.
And do you feel that all of those organisations are needed? And
Oh, absolutely.
supported?
You know, fathers really need somewhere to go, as indeed do mothers or any parent who's going through this. So it's, you know, I mean, it sounds a bit dramatic, but fathers that I know that have called it a lifesaver for them. It's not just the legal support, it's not just the practical support, it's the emotional support such sources can provide for them when they're going through this the stress and anxiety of a separation and not seeing their children.
And I know that you've suggested people use us.
Yes.
Have you got some good feedback?
Yes, and that's why I still suggest people use
Thank you.
it. Yes.
That's great. Thank you so much, John.
So,
really
thank you.
grateful.